We read Peeps by Scott Westerfeld. We read it like years ago.
When we were in high school.
No, actually I read it when I was in university. It was on your shelf.
Oh, okay, yeah. I got this when I worked at Chapters.
Yeah, no, I read this during exam season when my brain was fried and I needed something happy and not school to read.
And so you read the vampire book about parasites.
Yes. So we kind of compared it in our non-spoiler review to The Strain, but this actually came out before The Strain, so this is kind of like the origin of the parasite vampire.
Woo! AKA my biggest nightmare.
Now, the thing about the parasite vampire is, if you actually know something about parasites, it's very believable.
Mm-hmm.
And Scott Westerfeld does a great job of emphasizing this because he puts little inserts in between each chapter about actual parasites and how
they messed with me.
So you get like how parasites helped evolve the howler monkey, or how parasites go through like cows to ants and then back to cows again, and like hookworms and
parasites and snail eyes
and toxoplasma and just
The first time I read this book, I was like, I felt sick to my stomach. Like, I'd have to put it down. Yeah. And I guess you said the reason that it didn't affect me as much was because, you know, I knew it was coming. But I think the reason it didn't affect me as much is because the strain broke me.
I don't think so. I think, like, once you, like, read it that first time, it's just, like, you're like, okay, they're horrifying little buggers, and there's nothing I can do about it. I'm moving on with my life now. Whereas the first time you're just like, why did no one tell me these things existed?
I don't know, it's just the wormy heart. That just like once you see one wormy heart, you've seen it all, you know what I'm saying? But this book follows Cal. Cal is a carrier of the parasite, so he gets the cool, awesome symptoms, like, you know, super speed and like a crazy freaking metabolism, which, like, I would kill for.
Die.
All the cheeseburgers, all the pizza, like, yeah. And so he's a carrier, so what he's doing is he's hunting down all of the people that he has accidentally infected, his ex-girlfriends, because you pass the parasite through bodily fluids like saliva, so that means no more kissing for Cal.
And also, the parasite is small enough to go through latex, so no sex for you.
And he's also, like, constantly horny because the parasite wants him to pass it on. Like, it's reprogrammed his brain to, like, pass on the parasite, pass on the parasite, pass on the parasite. Infect everyone! Infect everyone!
So, yeah, he's constantly walking around like, oh, she saw it. She saw it. But it's like, annoying.
I like to think about it, like, Inside Out. Just, like, the constant, like, girl, girl, girl. You know, alarm just, like, and all the little Inside Out, like, emotions just screaming. Just...
This will make you happy, go!
Press the button, press the button, press the button.
Yeah. So, on his way through searching for his ex-girlfriends, he finds them all, but now he has to start looking for the woman who turned him into this parasite-ridden guy.
And all he knows is her name was Morgan.
And they had a one-night stand at this bar that he can't find anymore. But in searching for her, he runs into this girl named Lace, who ends up wanting his help to look into what happened on her floor because she's getting really, really cheap rent in this beautiful apartment in New York, and she's like, something went down here, and there's blood on my walls. So yeah, let's look into this. And it turns out that Morgan is actually trying to turn people because these vampires were kind of created to fight these underground monsters that are slowly rising up from the deep.
See, my choice of clip for this would be Samuel L. Jackson.
Doing what?
The Earth is sick! My clip of choice would be the Samuel L. Jackson, like, explanation of why he's killing everyone in the Kingsman. Like, that is basically it, because the vampires are actually created, like, as a counter, like a check to these worm creatures that live underground, and because of the fact that a bunch of cats were killed during the plague, the virus kind of morphed and changed
into, like, a more violent version, and Cal actually has this old strain of vampirism, which is a lot easier to maintain. Whereas Westerfeld manages to make vampirism seem really realistic, the monsters that come out from the deep kind of come out of left field. They only really get explained in the last, like, 25 pages of the novel.
My favorite random throwaway line about the monsters is, "There's a reason why we've put so much concrete between us and the earth." And I'm like, oh, that's clever, Westerfeld. Oh, that's good.
Ultimately, I liked this book. I found I had a lot more problems the second time around. Also, I didn't have a university brain at the time, but now that I'm kind of like reading things and actually going to think about them because my brain isn't fried, I noticed like the language kind of is a little stilted. Some parts could have probably been edited down a little bit. I found a lot of stuff kind of just washed over you and you didn't absorb it very well. And also Lace really bugged me this time around. Just every other sentence was dude or duh or like it's just.
I say dude a lot. That's like one of the words.
You do, but you somehow manage to say it ironically, and you only.
You mean I'm a dude hipster?
You're totally a dude hipster. Starts every sentence with dude, or it's like somebody always going, I literally threw up everywhere, or that literally just happened. It's just. Yes.
Yeah, I still liked it.
I liked it, but I actually just took a star off on Goodreads. I was like,
I left it as a 4-star book, just because it was fun. Like, you know,
yeah.
This came out before the crazy, like the vampire crazy. This is probably like the last book before the Twilight craze, right here.
Aww.
And if you haven't been noticing during the review, I've been like randomly holding it up to like match my mouth and eye.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Small things. But it's cool because it takes the whole vampire myth and its reasoning behind things is just so clever. Like, I love the whole, like, your brain gets rewired so that you run away. So, like, you know, you leave civilization so you are more likely to spread it. So you leave your town, you'll go to another town. But the way your brain gets rewired is you start hating what you used to love. So, like, the first girlfriend he tracks down, she loved Elvis. Like, she loved him. So, like, to trap her, he puts up all these Elvis posters and, like, has a velvet cape and, like, you know, hums Elvis songs. And it's so cool because it makes so much sense because that explains why the whole, like, cross thing and Christian iconography.
Like,
why,
in the 16th century,
yeah.
that would have made a lot of sense because everyone went to church.
Yeah.
Right? So, I do agree that, like, this is the first vampire novel that I've ever found where I'm like, this is believable. I could totally see this happening.
If you haven't read this book, you should read it, especially if you like vampires, especially if you like the representation of the vampires in the strain. I think this is a good kind of, like, counter to that because it's similar, but it's not, you know, crazy, like...
It's not as horror-y.
Yeah.
And, yeah, it also kind of talks about sex and STDs, not really in a productive way, but it mentions them, like, as in casual conversation.
Sex exists in this book.
There you go.
Like, that's the thing. Like, okay, so we're not really focusing on it, but it's something that happens to people.
And they do it.
And they do it. And, you know, yes, SoCal has a negative connotation with his, like, relationships, but it's not saying that
sex is bad.
Sex is bad.
Yeah.
Which is, like, it's crazy because you have that double kind of standard of, like, you know, have sex and you die. Like, don't have sex. You see in Mean Girls, but at the same time, you know.
Yeah. What it does is it's like, oh, this thing exists and it affects people's lives and we're moving on now.
So it's like, practice safe sex.
But it doesn't hit you over the head with it either.
No, it's really well done. And, you know, this book deserves to be read.
So, take a look at Peeps by Scott Westerfeld. I am not sure how hard... Glad you're trying so hard. I am not sure how hard it is to find this book these days. I hope it's not as difficult as I think it is.
I believe they re-released it with a new cover recently.
Oh, good.
This is like the old school cover.
What? 2005. That's what's sold.
Yeah.
So, anyways, if you liked our review, let us know. Tell us what you think about the Parasite vampire. Or if you've read this book, tell us what you think of it.
And what are you thinking of Vampire Month now that it's halfway over?
Oh my god.
Woo!
So, you can find us on Facebook, on Twitter, on Tumblr, or just comment down below and subscribe, guys. So, see you later.